Hey guys, and happy Monday. Hope you're doing well. Before we get into the video, as always, make sure that your Chromebook is plugged in or it's fully charged. Today's video is going to be a little bit longer, but you won't have any practice beyond the video for today's lesson. So we're going to do practice together on this video, and then the rest of your time today devoted to math is going to be spent working on your geometry 2D city project. So today our learning goal is that mathematicians will practice finding the perimeter of a polygon. This might be a review for some of you. You might have some pretty good background knowledge on finding perimeter, and for others this might be fairly new. We are only spending a day on perimeter, and then for the rest of the week we are focusing on area and also, like I said, working on your 2D geometry city project. But before we go any further, it is Monday, so we're going to pause here and do a little mindfulness meditation practice via Headspace. So what I'm going to ask you to do right now is pause this YouTube video, head back to the DLP for math, and click on today's mindfulness practice. It's super short. It's a mini meditation. It's under a minute and 20 seconds, and it's really going to have you focus on the feeling that you get when you're doing deep breathing. So go ahead, pause here. I'm going to go practice as well, and I'll see you back here in under 2 minutes. Welcome back. Hopefully you enjoyed that little breathing practice, and remember that your breath is always something you can come back to. So when I find myself feeling a little overwhelmed or a little stressed, whether it's about school or the coronavirus or like the uncertainty of the rest of the year and the summer, I find myself just pausing for a moment, closing my eyes, taking a few deep breaths, and really focusing on how it feels to inhale and exhale. So I hope that this week, if you're feeling those moments of tension, that you pause and find some time to reconnect with your breath. All right, let's hop into perimeter. So when I think of perimeter, I think of the distance around a shape. So it's the distance around a closed shape. Often when we are thinking about perimeter in the real world, and your brain might be full of examples right now, I think of a fence, so a fenced-in backyard. If I needed to know the amount of fencing, if I wanted to replace the fence in my yard, I would need to find the perimeter of my yard, or the total distance around. If I wanted to put a border around the ceiling in my room, sometimes we have borders at the top of our walls, I would need to find the perimeter of my room. So perimeter is anything that measures the distance around. If someone wanted to put a path around their pool, that would also be perimeter. You would have to find the perimeter of the pool so you could build the path around it. Tomorrow and later this week, we're going to be talking about area, which is quite different. Area is the inside of a shape. So the inside, this white, would be the area. Around the edges here would be our perimeter. So the formal definition for perimeter you can see here. As always, if you want to be jotting down notes in your notebook or reminders for yourself, you can always feel free to do that. The distance around a polygon is called the perimeter of the polygon. The perimeter, often represented as an uppercase letter P, is the sum of the lengths of its sides. So finding the perimeter is simple, easy. All you have to do is add up all of the sides. So here, let's see how many sides we have on this closed polygon. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so if I wanted to find the perimeter, I would have to add up each of the 5 sides. Once I add them all up, I just want to make sure that I use the correct label, which is centimeters, and that's as simple as that for perimeter. So the perimeter of this closed polygon with the 5 sides is 27 centimeters. We added 4 plus 4 plus 5 plus 6 plus 8, and that gives us 27. Finding, oh, sorry, to move my face from behind the rectangle. Finding the perimeter of the square, if you are given a square and you know that all four sides are equal, then you can either add all four sides, or as we know, multiplication is just repeated addition, so you could also multiply that one side by 4. So here on the square, we can see that one side is 7 6/10 of a centimeter. We could do 7.6 plus 7.6 plus 7.6 plus 7.6, or we could multiply 7 6/10 times 4. So that's what they mean by 4s. That s means side, so you would multiply 4 times the length of one side. Either way is going to get you the same solution. So in this case, if you multiplied 7.6 times 4, you would get 30 4/10 of a centimeter. For a perimeter of a rectangle, sometimes they'll only give you the measurements of 2 sides, but think about what we studied for quadrilaterals last week. We know that opposite sides of the rectangle are congruent. So if you know that this side is 21 inches, you know that this side, which isn't labeled, is 21 inches. If we know that this left-hand side is 7 inches, then we know that the right-hand side would also be 7 inches. So again, there's a few ways you can find the perimeter here. I could do 21 times 2, which is 42, and then 7 times 2, which is 14, and add them together and get 56. Or I could add up all 4 sides. I could do 21 plus 7 plus 21 plus 7, and it's going to get me, no matter what, 56 inches. So you can take what you know about quadrilaterals and the properties of shapes that we've been going over for the past few weeks, and you can apply them here when you're finding perimeter. So those ones are pretty easy, but what happens when we have a shape that all of the lengths of the sides aren't given to us? That's going to add a little extra twist in here. So we can see here that certain sides are labeled, but Y, this little section here, isn't labeled, and X isn't labeled. Take a look. I want you to think about how you might figure out. It's not like we can just bring out a ruler and measure that. That's definitely not 6 inches. It's not drawn to scale. So what could we do? I know if you were in class right now, I'd be asking you and you would all be sharing phenomenal ideas, and I so miss that. But I'll tell you how you can solve that. So if we know that this is 13 inches, it's almost like I'm going to slide that 13 inches over. I'm going to take this 13 inches and I'm going to slide it over here to the X. So I know that 13 inches ends about right here. So part of that X, that length of that unknown side, is 13. I'm just jotting down 13 so I don't forget. Then I know this little side is 4, so I'm going to slide that 4 over, and that takes up the rest of my missing space. So I slid the 13 over, which brought me to here, and then I slid the 4 over. And if I add that 13 plus 4, that gives me 17. So X is going to be equal to 17 inches. Okay, so that takes care of X. How about Y? So Y is going horizontal. So I want to look and see what else is horizontal that I might be able to slide. Well, this is 6, and then there's a little missing piece here. Oh, but it's a rectangle. It's almost like part of a rectangle. So if this is 6 and this is 9, how much is missing right here across from Y? 6, 7, 8, 9, 3 inches. So my Y would be 3 because 3 plus 6 is going to give me 9. And if I brought Y all the way up to be in line with the 6, this would be a rectangle, and opposite sides are equal. All right, so now I know my missing sides. X is 17 inches, Y is 3 inches. You want to jot that down because I'm going to have you pause here and find the perimeter of this irregular polygon. I'll see you back here in a moment. Find the perimeter. All right, What'd you guys get? 52 inches? If I add up all of the sides, I should get 52 inches. So finding the missing sides is actually the more challenging part. Finding the perimeter itself is just adding up all of the sides. So it's a little simpler, but you have to pay close attention to detail because one little mistake with your addition could cause you to miss the total calculation. All right, here are 4 examples, 4 different shapes, and I'm going to have you pause the screen here in just a moment, and in your math binder, on a piece of paper, on a whiteboard, I'm going to ask you to find the perimeter of each of these shapes. I'm going to do the same, and then when you're ready, press play, and you'll be able to check to see how you did with what I got. So go ahead and find the perimeter, and then press play when you're ready. I'll see you soon. Are you ready? I'm going to show you my whiteboard. I showed you my strategy, so if I use multiplication, or addition, or multiplication and addition, and my solution and labels. If you missed one of these, shoot me an email or just make yourself a note and we can talk about it tomorrow at our Google Meet. So here's my board. Hopefully you can see this okay. There, peeked around, you should be good. Go ahead and check yours for 1, 2, 3, and 4. And just be noticing, did we use the same strategy? Did you do something different? If you used something different, what did you do differently? And did you get the same solution though? Because as you know, that's my favorite thing about math. Many different ways to get to the same answer. If you needed more time with that, remember it's just a YouTube video, you can always rewind. All right, here we're going to do 1 or 2 more. For this one, let's just do, actually I'm going to skip this one. If you want more practice, you can pause and do these 3, but my video is going to cut off soon. So here is some additional practice if you want to try them. And I want you to try this one. So they give you a lot of sides, but they don't give you D, which is vertical right here, or E. And notice some sides are missing labels, like this doesn't have one either. Okay, so you're gonna have to find the missing sides and then find the perimeter. Pause, give it a shot. I'm gonna try to, and I'll see you back here shortly. Right, did you find D? So what I did, because it's vertical, I slid over what I knew. So I slid over the 6, and I knew 6 plus D was going to have to equal 13. Because 13 is the same length as 6 and D together. So that means D equals 7 meters. And then for E, I knew that 5 plus E plus 3 plus 2 had to give me 14. So 5 plus 3 is 8, plus 2 is 10, and I needed 10 plus E equals 14, so E equals 4. Then I also noticed there are 10 sides to this, and some sides weren't labeled. So D, I had to figure out what D was, which was 7, so that's 7. This vertical line right here is 7, and this vertical line here is also 7. So then when I added them all together, I got 68 meters for my perimeter. If you are close, try it again. If you're off or have a question, shoot me an email. I will happily hop on a Google Meet with you today, or we can talk about it tomorrow. All right. That is your little refresher on perimeter. Reminders for today, that was your practice. You're not doing any additional practice on perimeter. The rest of the time for math, so a good like 15, 20, 25 minutes or so, should be spent working on your Geometry 2D City project. As a reminder, that is due this week, Thursday. I'm looking forward to seeing you guys tomorrow at 11 o'clock at our Google Meet. Please jot down any questions you have, and we will be sure to go over them tomorrow. Have a wonderful start to your week, and I'll see you guys tomorrow at 11. Bye.